Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, we're gonna be making animal cupcake. As per usual, I'm using the cotton yarns, and I'm also gonna use a thinner black yarn for the nose, 3mm hook, stitch marker, 5mm plastic eyes, needle, and also scissors. To make the cup, we're gonna start with a magic ring. So we're gonna wrap the yarn around the finger. There will be 2 lines. We're gonna yarn under the first one and yarn over into the second one. Let go of the left finger and finish with a chain. Next, we're going to make a single crochet. So we're gonna insert the hook into the ring. We're gonna yarn over and pull out the yarn over again and pull it out from both of the loops. That's 1 single crochet. Since we need 6 for this row, we're gonna make 5 more. Pull the yarn to close the hole, and now we're gonna continue into the second row. For the second row, we're gonna make increase stitch. For increase, there are 2 stitches in 1 stitch. So I'm gonna make a single crochet first. Then I'm gonna use a stitch marker to mark the first stitch. Then I'm gonna make another single crochet in the same stitch as the first one. And that's what you call an increase stitch. We're gonna continue making increase stitch until the end of this row, and the total will be 12 stitches. Into the third row, in this row we're gonna make single crochet and an increase. So I'm gonna start with making single crochet first. Then I'm gonna continue with increase on the next stitch. Repeat the pattern until the end of this row, and the total would be 18 stitches. For the next row, we're just gonna use back loop only. So instead of inserting the hook all the way into the loops, we're just gonna use the back loop and we're gonna make a slip stitch. We're gonna continue with 3 chains and we're gonna count it as 1 double crochet. Next, still on the back loop only, we're gonna make a double crochet. So we're gonna loop the yarn into the hook, insert it into the back loop, yarn over and pull out the yarn. There will be 3 loops on your hook. We're gonna yarn over and pull it out from the first and the second loop. Yarn over again and pull it out from the rest of the loops. That's a double crochet, and we're gonna continue making double crochet on the back loop until the end of this row. When you're done, we're gonna make a slip stitch on the third chain. Then we're gonna make 3 chains. Continue with double crochet for the next stitch. This time we're gonna do it on both loops. Next, we're going to make a front post double crochet. So instead of making double crochet on the usual loop, we're gonna use the vertical bar down the loops. We're gonna go behind the bar. We're gonna yarn over and pull out the yarn. Yarn over and pull it out from the first and the second loop. Yarn over again and pull it out from the rest of the loops. That's a front post double crochet. We're gonna continue with double crochet for the next 2 stitches. Then continue with another front post double crochet. That's the pattern for this row. So 2 double crochet and then front post double crochet on the next stitch. Continue until the rest of this row. When you're done, make a slip stitch on the third chain. Then you can cut the yarn. Finish with an invisible finish and within the ends. For the whipped cream, we're gonna use a different color of yarn, and we're gonna make a knot first to secure the yarn. Then we're gonna start with a chain, and next we're going to make a bubble stitch. So we're gonna wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into the loops, yarn over and pull out the yarn. There will be 3 loops on your hook. We're gonna yarn over and pull it out from the first and the second loop. Now there are 2 loops on your hook. We're gonna repeat the same process. So yarn over, insert it into the loops, yarn over and pull out the yarn. Yarn over again and pull it out from the first and the second loop. And now there are 3 loops on your hook, and we're gonna repeat the same process again 2 more times until there are 5 loops on your hook. When you have 5 loops on your hook, you can yarn over and pull it out from all of the loops. We're gonna skip 1 stitch, and we're gonna do a slip stitch on the second one. Then we're gonna continue making another bubble stitch. Skip 1 stitch and make a slip stitch on the second one. We're gonna continue making this until the end of the row. When you're done, you can just make a slip stitch on the first stitch where you make the first bubble stitch. You can cut the yarn and weave in the ends. And we're done with the cupcake. As per usual, we're just gonna start with a magic ring. Then we're gonna continue with 6 single crochet for the first row. And for the second row, we're just gonna make increase 6 times. The total stitch for this row should be 12 stitches. Moving on into the third row. In this row, we're gonna make a single crochet and an increase. So I'm gonna make a single crochet first, and then on the next stitch, I'm gonna make an increase stitch. We're going to repeat this pattern for the rest of the row, and the total should be 18 stitches. For the fourth row, we're gonna make 2 single crochet and an increase. So we're gonna start with 2 single crochet first, then continue with an increase on the next stitch. Repeat this pattern until the end of this row, and the total should be 24 stitches. Moving on into the fifth row. In this row, we're going to make 5 single crochet and an increase. So we're going to start with the single crochet first. This time we're going to make 5. Then we're gonna continue with an increase on the next stitch. Repeat the pattern until the end of this row. In the end, there should be 28 stitches in total. For the next row, we're just going to be making single crochet until the end of row 9. Before moving on into the next row, I'm gonna place the eyes first. I'm using 5mm plastic eyes, and I'm placing it between row 7 and row 8, 3 stitches apart. Now for row 10, we're gonna start making decrease stitch. For this row, we're going to make 5 single crochet and a decrease. So we're gonna start with 5 single crochet first. And for a decrease, we're gonna use the front loop only. So we're gonna insert the hook into the front loop of the next stitch, and do the same thing to the stitch next to it. Yarn over, pull out a yarn, and pull it out from both of the loops. That's a decrease, and we're gonna continue with this pattern until the end of this row, and in the end there should be 24 stitches in total. Now for the last row, which is row 11, we're gonna make 2 single crochet and a decrease. We're gonna start with 2 single crochet first, then continue with decrease for the next one. Repeat the pattern until the end of the row, and the total should be 18 stitches. We're gonna cut the yarn, but we're gonna leave a tail long enough for sewing the cat and the cupcake. I'm just gonna add a little bit stuffing into the cupcake and the cat, and we can start stitching them together. Before finishing assembling, I'm gonna add more stuffing so they are properly stuffed. Don't forget to secure the yarn and weave in the ends. For the ears, I'm gonna insert the yarn into a stitch between row 5 and row 6. Then to secure the yarn, I'm gonna make a knot first. Then I'm gonna continue with 4 chains. We're gonna skip the first chain, and in the second chain I'm gonna make a single crochet. On the next chain I'm gonna make a half double crochet. So we're gonna loop the yarn into the hook, insert it into the chain, yarn over and pull out the yarn. There will be 3 loops on your hook. We're gonna yarn over and pull it out from all of the loops. Then for the last chain we're gonna make a double crochet. When you're done, you can make a slip stitch on a stitch between row 3 and row 4. You can cut the yarn and pull the yarn out, and that's one ear done. Now for the second ear, we're gonna use the same pattern as the first one, but we're gonna start making a knot between row 3 and row 4, and then in the end we're gonna do a slip stitch on a stitch between row 5 and row 6. When you're done with the second ear, you can just cut the yarn and weave in all the ends. Next, using a thinner polyester yarn, we're going to make the nose, mouth, and also the whiskers. Start with making a horizontal line between the eyes, then continue with making an upside down V below the horizontal line. And we're going to make the whiskers on the left and the right side of the face. For the bunny, I'm using the same pattern as the cat, but for the ears, we have to tie the yarn first on a stitch between row 4 and row 5. Then we're gonna continue with 7 chains. We're gonna skip the first chain and we're gonna make a slip stitch on the second chain. Continue with half double crochet on the next chain. Then we're gonna make double crochet for the next 2 chains. another half double crochet for the next chain. And lastly, we're gonna slip stitch on the last chain. We're gonna make another slip stitch on a stitch between the second and the third row. When you're done, you can cut the yarn. For the other ears, we're gonna use the same pattern, but we're gonna start in between row 2 and row 3 and end it up in between row 4 and row 5. Then you can just go ahead and stitch it with the cupcake. And we're gonna grab another thinner yarn for the nose. Basically, we're just gonna make a letter T. Also, I'm suggesting to add some blush to the ears so the bunny look more alive and more adorable. And that's it guys, sorry if the video was kinda all over the place. I had a quite limited time to make this, but I hope you guys still enjoy this video. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!